If like 30% of Europeans, you often have too much month at the end of the money, it's only natural that you think about ways to increase your earnings in order to boost your purchasing power. The thing is, to save more money, you either have to increase your earnings or reduce your spending. If I had to choose between the two, I would always advise increasing your earnings to build wealth. However, I still believe that it is essential to start by auditing your expenses and to reduce them whenever possible. So in this video, I'll go through my 7 tips to save money on a weekly basis. Tip number 1, audit your expenses and freeze them temporarily. Firstly, it is essential for you to start by auditing your current situation, and the easiest way to do so is by temporarily freezing your expenses. Maybe you feel like this will be a bit too extreme, but you need to understand that you will only freeze your expenses for a short period of time, a day, a weekend, or even a week, in order to identify your spending habits. How much do you spend every week and on what? As soon as you have identified what your main expense categories are, you can apply the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. This principle suggests that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. So in the context of personal finance, it means that a small number of the decisions that you'll take will have a big impact on your overall financial situation. And that is a powerful tool to help you maximize your savings. Tip number 2. Make and stick to a smart grocery shopping list. When auditing your expenses, there is a high chance that you'll realize that a lot of your money goes every week to grocery shopping. On average, Europeans spend around 15% of their earnings on food and non-alcoholic beverages. Therefore, making a list before going grocery shopping is the most efficient way to avoid buying unnecessary items or making impulse purchases. Of course, you can and you should treat yourself, but buying fresh products at a discount when you know that you'll be throwing half the box is just nonsense. On the other hand, some fresh products can be bought in bulk and then be frozen, and this is what I call being smart with your grocery list. Tip number 3, limit takeout and eating out. In line with the tip number 2, try to limit takeout and eating out to the bare minimum. With many benefits for your health and the environment, this will help you save a few €100 every month. Don't cut out on the nice thing, but instead set a limit. For example, go to the restaurant once every 2 weeks or once a month. Bring your own lunch to the office, or why not, be creative and recreate restaurant nights out experiences at home. Tip number 4, buy drugstore products in bulk. Make the habit of buying essential household products in bulk and always compare the per unit cost, whether it's in-store or online. Here I'm talking about toothpaste, soap, shampoo, tissues, you name it. Basically anything that doesn't have an expiry date. This way, you save on the price, reduce packaging waste, save your time on trips to the stores, and you're always ready in case of need. Tip number 5, watch out for your water and drinks consumption. If this may come as a surprise for many Americans and even some Europeans, it is worth noting that water in restaurants isn't free in most European countries. Yes, at most restaurants you have to pay to drink water, between 5 and 10 euros per bottle. The reason is that many restaurants have the highest margin on drinks. Between 30% and 50% of their turnover actually comes from drinks. And since the European Union hasn't passed any law requiring establishments to provide free tap water, you can expect restaurants to keep on charging high price. Therefore, watching out for your drinking consumption when you go out will directly impact your wallet. Tip number 6, pay cash. I have to admit, this one is the most difficult for me. This is the size of my wallet. I carry no cash with me. I hate that. But it is not a good enough reason for me to not acknowledge the importance that cash represents. Especially if you're one of those who tend to be shocked by how much is left on their bank accounts at the end of the month because they somehow lost track of their expenses. When you pay cash, the effect is immediate. You see immediately how much you spent, how much is left. You literally visualize money. And that is the reason why some people like to assign a physical envelope for their expenses. Now, we are in 2024, I don't do that and neither should you. But my point here is that by doing the exercise of taking money out of an ATM and paying cash for a coffee or some groceries may help you reconnect with money. And you could use the same envelope approach by using an app or even an Excel spreadsheet for a couple of weeks or even a month just to instill some good habits. Tip number 7, buy pre-loved items and sell what you don't use anymore. You'll be surprised by the number of people who actually sell new items or almost brand new items on second-hand platforms, which means that you can actually buy excellent condition items for a low price or even very low price sometimes. But it also means that you should be prepared to not fall for the trend of buying the latest gadgets on the market, especially if yours still work pretty well. At the same time, take the time to declutter your closet and get rid of anything of value that you know for sure that you won't use. Start with the items of value, such as electronics and designer items, and then move on to the items with lower value so that you avoid wasting your time. And remember, anything that you didn't use in the last 2 or 3 years is almost certainly useless, so get rid of it ASAP. By applying these 7 easy tips, you will start making some serious savings. But it is essential that you understand what is the breakdown of your spending per category and that you know what are your frequent expenses to better anticipate them. Ideally, it's smart to perform this exercise once a year. But most importantly, do not overlook the power of small changes that lead to tiny gains. This is what we call the butterfly effect or the latte effect. This is the idea that daily or weekly trivial expenditures can add up and lead to significant losses. And the opposite is therefore very much true. Making small cuts in your expenses every day is one of the tools to immediately increase money at your disposal.